So, you think you know Wisconsin? Get ready to think again. We're taking a journey into the heart of America's dairyland, where the ground beneath your feet tells a story a billion years in the making. We've dug through the geological surveys, stared into glacial potholes, and mapped ancient riverbeds to find the facts that make you say, "Wait, what?" Today, we're counting down 35 bizarre facts about Wisconsin that simply make no sense. So grab a spotted cow, settle in, and prepare to have your mind blown. Number 35, the Great Margarine War. For a staggering 72 years, from 1895 to 1967, Wisconsin banned the sale of yellow-colored margarine. This was a full-blown legislative crusade by the state's powerful dairy industry. The law made it illegal to sell margarine artificially colored to look like butter. You could still buy white margarine, which came with a yellow dye packet for your own contraband lab. Number 34, a landscape carved by ice. Wisconsin's lumpy lake-filled terrain exists because it was once under a mile-thick sheet of ice. These massive glaciers acted like colossal bulldozers, flattening hills and carving out valleys. They left behind huge deposits of rock and soil that formed features like the Kettle Moraine. The state's very soil and the direction its rivers flow are all consequences of this ancient sculpting. Number 33, the land that ice forgot. While most of Wisconsin was being steamrolled by glaciers, a huge section of the Southwest was spared. This region is known as the driftless area, as it has no drift or glacial debris. The result is a landscape that looks completely different from the rest of the state. Instead of gentle hills, it has steep bluffs and deep river valleys like an ancient island. Number 32, natural air conditioners. Tucked into the bluffs of the driftless area are bizarre microhabitats called algific talus slopes. These are natural air conditioners, circulating air through deep rock fissures to keep it near freezing. In the summer, this frigid air vents out, creating chilly zones much cooler than the forest. These cold pockets preserve species extinct since the Ice Age, like the Iowa Pleistocene snail. Number 31, a landscape full of holes. Because the driftless area wasn't scraped over by glaciers, its ancient limestone bedrock is exposed. Over millions of years, water has dissolved this rock, creating what is known as karst topography. This means the ground is literally full of holes, creating a bizarre landscape of sinkholes, springs, and sprawling cave systems. One of these, the Cave of the Mounds, was discovered by accident during quarry blasting in 1939. Number 30, the crookedest river. Also in the driftless area, the Kickapoo River has been carving the same valley for millions of years. Because it was completely uninterrupted by glaciers, it has become one of the crookedest rivers in the world. To travel a straight line distance of just 65 miles, the river twists and turns for over 125 miles. It's an ancient meandering path that time forgot. Number 29, what Wisconsin actually means. The state's name is a historical puzzle from the indigenous word mescousing. The French later spelled it Wisconsin, and English speakers changed it to Wisconsin. One theory suggests it means River of the Red Stone, referring to the sandstone of the Dells. However, other theories exist, and the original meaning remains shrouded in mystery. Number 28, a state with two coasts. You may not picture a state in the middle of the country as coastal, but Wisconsin has two. The state has a massive shoreline along Lake Michigan to the east and Lake Superior to the north. While not saltwater, the Great Lakes are so vast they are essentially inland seas. They create their own weather systems, maritime cultures, and stunning beaches and cliffs. Number 27, the first American kindergarten was German. The concept of kindergarten began in Watertown, Wisconsin in 1856. Margarete Schertz, a German immigrant, opened a school based on the children's garden concept. She started it in her home for her daughter and 4 other neighborhood children. And here's the kicker. The classes were held entirely in German. Number 26, the Niagara of the Midwest. The famous cliffs of Niagara Falls are part of a feature that runs right through Wisconsin. It's the Niagara Escarpment, a 650-mile-long rock ledge arcing from New York into the state. This ridge of hard dolomite rock was formed from an ancient tropical sea 400 million years ago. It creates the dramatic bluffs of Door County and the cliffs along Lake Winnebago. Number 25, home to over 15,000 lakes. Minnesota may be the land of 10,000 lakes, but Wisconsin is quietly saying, "Hold my beer." Wisconsin has over 15,000 freshwater lakes, a direct gift of the last ice age. As massive glaciers scraped across the land, they carved out deep depressions that later filled with water. This means that no matter where you are in Wisconsin, you're probably not far from a lake. Number 24, the world's basket of eggs. In southern and eastern Wisconsin, the landscape looks like a basket of eggs from above. This is because the area has one of the largest concentrations of drumlins in the world. Drumlins are smooth, elongated, spoon-shaped hills formed by glaciers moving over the land. They all point in the same direction, showing the exact path the ancient ice flowed. Number 23, America's largest cattail marsh. On top of that massive drumlin field sits another superlative, Horicon Marsh. At 33,000 acres, it is the largest freshwater cattail marsh in the entire United States. Designated as a wetland of international importance, it's a critical stopover for migratory birds. The islands dotting the marsh are actually the tops of drumlins peeking out above the water. Number 22, the Badger State has nothing to do with animals. When you hear the Badger State, you naturally picture the fierce burrowing animal. But Wisconsin's nickname comes from lead miners in the 1820s and 30s. To survive the harsh winters, many prospectors dug tunnels or hillside shelters to live in. They were nicknamed Badger Boys for burrowing into the earth like the animal, and the name stuck. Number 21, the Wisconsin Dells aren't hills. The name Wisconsin Dells is a bit misleading, as it doesn't refer to valleys or hills. Dells comes from the French word dalles, which means slabs. It refers to the stunning gorge carved by the Wisconsin River through layers of soft sandstone. For miles, the river is flanked by towering cliffs and bizarre rock formations. Number 20, the state's highest point is just a hill. Every state has a highest point, but Wisconsin's is charmingly humble. Timms Hill, the state's peak elevation, stands at a modest 1,951 feet above sea level. It's not a rugged mountain, but a gentle wooded hill left behind by glacial activity. In a state of geographical surprises, its quiet, unassuming peak feels perfectly on brand. Number 19, the lowest point is a Great Lake. To complete the picture, Wisconsin's lowest point is the surface of Lake Michigan. It sits at 579 feet above sea level, meaning the entire state exists in a vertical range of just over 1,300 feet. The glaciers that scraped out the Great Lake basins also piled up debris to create Timms Hill. The state's highest and lowest points are two sides of the same icy coin. Number 18, a river that flows the wrong way. In the Midwest, we generally expect rivers to flow south toward the Mississippi. The Fox River, however, didn't get the memo, as it's one of the few major rivers in the US that flows north. Starting in central Wisconsin, it meanders northeast before emptying into Green Bay. This strange direction is, once again, a result of glacial topography sloping north in the region. Number 17, the Door County Shoreline Claim. Door County, the peninsula jutting into Lake Michigan, is a beloved vacation spot. Locals claim it has more miles of shoreline than any other single county in the United States. With its indented coast and numerous islands, it boasts a staggering 300 miles of shoreline. Whether it's truly number one is debated, but its scale is undeniably impressive for the Midwest. Number 16, the Apostle Islands and their ice caves. Off Wisconsin's northern coast in Lake Superior lies the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore. This archipelago of 21 islands is known for its spectacular sandstone sea caves carved by waves. In winter, when the lake freezes solid enough to walk on, they transform into something otherworldly. Water that seeps through the rock freezes into colossal icicles. turning the caves into natural ice palaces. Number 15. Lake Winnebago, a mile wide and an inch deep. That's an exaggeration, but it gets at the truth of Wisconsin's largest inland lake. Lake Winnebago is huge, covering over 137,000 acres, but it is incredibly shallow. It has an average depth of only about 15.5 feet, which creates a unique environment. In winter, its vast frozen surface becomes a temporary city for a famous sturgeon spearing event. Number 14. The ancient Baraboo Range. While much of Wisconsin's landscape is geologically young, the Baraboo Range is ancient. These hills are the billion-year-old remnants of a mountain range once as mighty as the Rockies. The rock is quartzite, a material so hard that it resisted both the crushing force of glaciers and time. The ice sheets were forced to flow around the range, preserving its distinctive shape. Number 13. A sea of rocks. In the Blue Hills of northwestern Wisconsin, there's a feature that looks like it belongs on another planet. It's the Blue Hills Felsenmeer, which is German for Sea of Rocks. These are vast, treeless fields of giant boulders that were not deposited by a river. They were created during the Ice Age, when intense frost cycles shattered the bedrock into a desolate rockscape. Number 12. The world's deepest glacial potholes. At Interstate State Park, you can find some of the deepest potholes in the world. These aren't the kind that ruin your car. They're giant holes drilled into billion-year-old basalt rock. Formed 10,000 years ago, powerful glacial meltwater created swirling whirlpools of rock and sand. These eddies acted like drill bits, grinding smooth, cylindrical pits over 60 feet deep. Number 11. America's deadliest fire. On the exact same night as the Great Chicago Fire in 1871, a far deadlier blaze hit Wisconsin. The Peshtigo Fire was a firestorm so intense it created a tornado of fire and burned 1.2 million acres. It killed an estimated 1,500 to 2,500 people, making it the deadliest fire in American history. Yet, news from Chicago overshadowed the tragedy, and it was almost completely forgotten. Number 10. The Kettle Moraine's icy origins. The Kettle Moraines formation is as bizarre as its name. In geology, a kettle is a depression formed by a huge stranded block of glacial ice. As glaciers retreated, massive ice chunks were buried in sediment, and when they melted, the ground collapsed. The Kettle Moraine is a hilly ridge dotted with thousands of these kettle holes, many of which are now lakes. Number 9. Home of the ice cream sundae, Two Rivers, Wisconsin, proudly claims to be the birthplace of the ice cream sundae. The story goes that in 1881, a customer asked for ice cream topped with chocolate soda syrup. The new treat was a hit and began being sold only on Sundays, earning it its name. Ithaca, New York, has a competing claim, but Two Rivers has embraced the story as its identity. Number 8. The state's 72 counties. The fact that Wisconsin has 72 counties might not seem bizarre, but it helps explain the weirdness. With 72 different county governments, you have a massive laboratory for local quirks and identities. This decentralization is why so many unique features are passionately preserved at a local level. It creates a mosaic of strange and wonderful stories across the state. Number 7. Over 84,000 miles of rivers. We've talked about the lakes, but Wisconsin's river system is just as impressive. The state has over 84,000 miles of rivers and streams. If you were to lay them end to end, they would stretch more than 3 times around the earth. Because of the glacial topography, rivers in Wisconsin flow in all directions: north, south, east, and west. Number 6. Rip Mountain's ancient heart. Like the Baraboo Range, Rip Mountain near Wausau is another geological wonder. It's one of the oldest rock formations on the continent, with its quartzite dating back over 1.7 billion years. It's not a volcano, but simply a massive, hard chunk of rock that withstood eons of erosion. Skiing down Rip Mountain means you're sliding over some of the most ancient geology in North America. Number 5, becoming a state in 1848. Wisconsin officially became the 30th state on May 29, 1848. This timing places its development in the middle of massive westward expansion. It also coincided with the intense national debate over slavery, entering the Union as a free state. Its early history was deeply shaped by the conflicts that would eventually lead to the Civil War. Number 4. The capital that shouldn't be there. Madison's selection as the capital was bizarre because in the 1830s, it was a total wilderness. The site was an uninhabited strip of land between two lakes with no people or buildings. A shrewd land speculator, James Duane Doty, lobbied legislators with warm robes and land plots. He succeeded, and the capital was willed into existence from a map before it existed on the ground. Number 3. Wisconsin's ancient tropical sea. Hundreds of millions of years ago, long before the Ice Age, Wisconsin was a completely different world. It was located south of the equator and covered by a warm, shallow tropical sea. This is not a theory. It's a geological fact proven by the state's bedrock. Much of that bedrock is dolomite, the fossilized remains of ancient reefs and marine life from that sea. Number 2. The official state pastry. Many states have official birds and flowers, but Wisconsin went a step further. In 2017, it named an official state pastry, the kringle. The kringle is a large, oval-shaped Danish pastry, typically filled with fruit or nuts. Its adoption as a state symbol is a direct nod to the Danish immigrants who settled in Racine. Number 1. A state of contradictions. Perhaps the most bizarre fact is that Wisconsin is a state of profound contradictions. It's a place with ocean-like coasts in the middle of a continent. It has landscapes carved by glaciers sitting right next to ancient lands the ice never touched. Its history includes a 72-year war against a butter substitute, proving these bizarre facts aren't bugs, they're features. Which of these facts blew your mind the most? Did we miss any of your favorite weird Wisconsin trivia? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this trip into the bizarre, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. And make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching.